The 2008 financial crisis alone wiped out over $8 trillion in household wealth, with the average American household losing nearly 40% of their net worth, and the global GDP contracting by a staggering 1.7% in 2009. This seismic event sent shockwaves around the world, with countries like Greece, Italy, and Portugal teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, their citizens facing austerity measures, pension cuts, and soaring unemployment. The human cost was devastating, with millions of people losing their homes, life savings, and livelihoods, and the resulting economic malaise lingering for years to come, affecting entire generations. The aftermath of the crisis saw a massive expansion of central banks' balance sheets, with the U.S. Federal Reserve alone increasing its holdings from $800 billion to over $4 trillion, a five-fold increase in just 6 years. This unprecedented monetary experiment has had far-reaching consequences, including the creation of asset bubbles, distorted market valuations, and a widening wealth gap between the rich and the poor. The effects are still being felt today, with many economies struggling to regain their pre-crisis momentum, and the threat of another downturn looming large on the horizon, as the global debt burden has ballooned to over $250 trillion. Delving deeper into the causes of major economic crashes, it becomes clear that a complex interplay of factors is often at play. The 1929 Wall Street crash, for example, was precipitated by a combination of excessive speculation, weak regulation, and a fragile banking system, which ultimately led to a global trade collapse and the Great Depression. Similarly, the 1987 Black Monday crash was triggered by a perfect storm of computer trading, over-evaluation, and a sudden loss of investor confidence, resulting in a 20% drop in stock prices in a single day. Each of these events has its unique characteristics, but they all share a common thread: the inability of policymakers and market participants to anticipate and mitigate the risks that ultimately led to the crisis. The role of monetary policy in exacerbating economic instability cannot be overstated. The persistent pursuit of low interest rates and quantitative easing has created an environment in which risk-taking is encouraged and prudent behavior is penalized. This has led to the creation of zombie companies, which are only able to survive due to the availability of cheap credit, rather than any genuine economic viability. The consequences of this approach are far-reaching, with the potential for a catastrophic unwind of the current asset price bubble, which could have devastating consequences for the global economy and the millions of people who have invested their hard-earned savings in the stock market. Furthermore, the increasing interconnectedness of the global economy has created a situation in which a crisis in one part of the world can quickly spread to other regions, with devastating consequences. The 1997 Asian financial crisis, for example, started in Thailand but quickly spread to other countries in the region, including Indonesia, Malaysia, and South Korea, causing widespread economic damage and social unrest. This highlights the need for coordinated international action to mitigate the risks of economic instability and prevent the spread of crises across borders. In addition, the growing wealth gap between the rich and the poor has become a major contributor to economic instability. The concentration of wealth among a small elite has led to a decline in aggregate demand, as the wealthy tend to save rather than spend their money, while the poor and middle class are forced to reduce their consumption due to lack of affordable credit and stagnant wages. This has created a situation in which economic growth is increasingly dependent on the creation of asset bubbles, rather than any genuine increase in productivity or innovation. The impact of technological change on the economy should also not be underestimated. The rise of automation and artificial intelligence has the potential to displace millions of workers, particularly in sectors such as manufacturing and transportation, leading to significant social and economic disruption. While technological progress has the potential to bring many benefits, including increased productivity and efficiency, it also poses significant risks, including the potential for widespread job displacement and social unrest. The response of policymakers to economic crises has often been inadequate, and in some cases has even exacerbated the problem. The use of fiscal austerity measures, for example, has been shown to be ineffective in reducing debt and promoting economic growth, and has instead led to increased poverty and inequality. The need for a more nuanced and evidence-based approach to economic policy is clear, one that takes into account the complex interplay of factors that contribute to economic instability. The historical record shows that economic crises are often preceded by a period of rapid credit expansion, which ultimately leads to a collapse in asset prices and a sharp contraction in economic activity. The 2000 dot-com bubble, for example, was fueled by a massive expansion of credit, which ultimately led to a collapse in technology stocks and a recession. Similarly, the 2008 housing bubble was fueled by subprime lending and securitization, which ultimately led to a global financial crisis. The global economy is currently facing a number of significant challenges, including a slowdown in trade, a decline in productivity growth, and a rise in debt levels. The impact of these factors on economic stability is uncertain, but it is clear that policymakers and market participants need to be vigilant and proactive in mitigating the risks that could lead to another crisis. The use of macroprudential policies, such as countercyclical capital buffers and loan-to-value ratios, could help to reduce the risks of credit bubbles and promote financial stability. The relationship between economic instability and social unrest is complex and multifaceted. While economic crises can contribute to social unrest, they are often also the result of deeper social and political factors, such as inequality, corruption, and lack of trust in institutions. The need for policymakers to address these underlying issues is clear in order to promote social cohesion and reduce the risks of economic instability. The use of economic models and forecasting techniques has been shown to be limited in their ability to predict economic crises. The failure of economists to predict the 2008 crisis, for example, has been well documented and highlights the need for a more nuanced and humble approach to economic forecasting. The use of complexity theory and network analysis may offer a more promising approach, as they take into account the complex interplay of factors that contribute to economic instability. In conclusion, the causes of major economic crashes are complex and multifaceted and cannot be reduced to a single factor or event. The need for policymakers and market participants to be aware of the risks of economic instability and to take proactive steps to mitigate them is clear. By understanding the historical record and the complex interplay of factors that contribute to economic crises, we can work towards creating a more stable and sustainable economic system. The reframing of economic instability as a complex systems problem, rather than a simple issue of supply and demand, offers a new perspective on the causes of major economic crashes and highlights the need for a more nuanced and interconnected approach to economic policy. The global economy is a complex and dynamic system, and its stability depends on the interactions and interdependencies of its many components.